Hi everyone, this is Arcadius and welcome back to Naval Creed. Today we'll be reviewing the next Soviet battleship, or dreadnought battleship I should say, Navarino. That's actually her name, so I didn't actually rename her, that's good. Um, you will quickly find that this is my least favorites of the Soviet battleships so far. She is just so underwhelming and she doesn't have a playstyle that really fits anywhere. So before we actually go into the ship herself, let's talk about the same tier battleships that she'll be going up against. So she is a tier 8. So that includes Amagis, which have 10 16-inch guns. You have North Carolinas. You have Massachusetts. You have Gascognas and Richelieus. You have Bismarcks, Tirpitz, and the occasional Holzerdorf. You also have Venetos, nothing for Pan-Asia, and then you have King George V's, you have Duke of York's, and you also have Vanguards, and then you also have Kaliningrad, and the nerfed version of Soyuz, once that actually is released. Yeah, those were your adversaries, okay? So just keep those in mind real quick. Alright, so the main advantages of all the other battleships that I just said is that they have more or less pretty good speed, decent AA, in some cases exceptional AA, such as North Carolina and Massachusetts. You either have good secondaries like Bismarck and Tirpitz, you have good range like Amagi, good speed and reload boosters such as Richelieu and Gascogna, or at least one of them has a reload booster. So you have a lot of different things that each of these battleships has. And Navarino doesn't have any of that. She's a very small ship, and that might be the only thing that's going for her, is the fact that she is about the size of a cruiser. If you can take a look at, let's see here, Tier 8 Soviet cruiser is Sverdlov. Sverdlov is actually bigger than her, or at least longer. So you are a very small battleship, and you still have 16-inch guns, which look way too big for the ship itself. It's almost seems as if these turrets, when they swing out to either side for a broadside, that the ship just kind of like tilts over. Or at least that's kind of what it looks like. And you have a weird turret arrangement with a barbette in the rear instead of in the front, which is pretty standard for how battleships go. So what kind of stats do we have? We have 66,900 health, which is pretty trash. 25% torpedo damage resistance. Okay, not the best, not the worst. Let's see here. Armor thickness. We have a maximum of 16.5 inches, but only 345 on the belt. So that's about 13.3 or so, something like that. 13.5. Not the best, but yeah, you can still be citadeled relatively easily. However, you being such a small target means that at range you actually have an advantage over other battleships because your citadel area is a little bit smaller considering your smaller size, which makes it harder to hit at longer ranges. So I guess she has that going for her, but it does definitely hurt when you get citadeled. And then you also have your casemate layer. Most ships at this, or battleships at this tier, do not have this. The only one I can think of is Amagi, and she kind of suffers with bad broadside armor whether or not you shoot at the casemate deck or not. So you have this shell trap for all the casemate guns. So yeah, definitely not a very good armored ship. Your guns, 2 rounds a minute, 36-second 180-degree turn time, so that increases. Really good shells, I would say. That's one thing that's continuous for this entire Dreadnought battleship line, is your guns are not going to disappoint. It's just that the rest of the ship will. So just keep that in mind. But your guns themselves, I don't have any problem with them. I do have them focused for your accuracy because I want to take advantage of the fact of my small size and try and not get close to anything else, because destroyers, contort me. Even cruisers, I feel like could take me on in a broadside, more or less. And then battleships, yeah, don't even think about it, honestly. If you go up against like a North Carolina or something like that, you're pretty much done for. And then carriers, yeah, don't think about it. Your AA is pretty much ineffective. Again, you might get a few planes. There's always that chance. But overall, will it be enough to deter the carrier from attacking you? Absolutely not. Let's hear gun ranges 21.6 kilometers and a secondary range of 5.0. So we had secondary turrets for Sinop, but we go back to just casemates for Navarino. Though you do get quite a few of them. Let's see, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to a side, which means 24 total, which is a good number. However, like I said, they're pretty much useless. So it doesn't matter how much you have. If it's useless, it's still going to be useless, even if you have a lot of them. And AA, as we said, is pretty much trash. Speed is 26.5 knots, which is not terrible on paper compared to what we've seen before. But against other ships at this tier, it's absolute trash. You have, let's see here, Amagi can do about 30 knots. Massachusetts and North Carolina go 27. Richelieu and Gascogna can do circles and laps around this thing. Especially with their speed boost activated, they can hit almost 40 knots. Even Bismarck and Tirpitz can go 30.5 and 31 knots. Veneto is like 28, I think, maybe? I'm not quite sure. And then King George V is 27.5 or so. Same with Duke of York, she's about 30 knots, and Vanguard is a battle cruiser, so she has the speed boost. Kaliningrad is pretty fast, and no stats on Vladivostok yet, but pretty much every single ship is going to be faster than this one. So on paper, and compared to earlier ships, it's not terrible, but against ships of the same tier, it's absolute trash. So yeah, you can kind of see how this ship doesn't really have a good playstyle. If you want something with good AA, go with American battleship. If you want good secondaries, go with British, or not British, German. You want good accuracy, go with British. If you want, well, I guess you could say good range and speed, or kind of a mix, you can go with Japanese. Amangi's kind of in her own little area. But there's just no real way that screams this is a good ship to play when you compare her to other battleships at this tier. Now, that being said, I have put a lot of hate on her, but she can do still quite a bit of damage if you put her to the test. She's a good cruiser killer. I would feel like that is the kind of playstyle you would want to use. You stay at range and be insignificant, and then once a cruiser decides to like ignore you, you make them punish them for that mistake and get citadels on their broadside with your fast shells. So with that, let's toss into a game and see what we can do. Alright, and here ourselves a game. We had another player recognize me and request that we play a game together, so we're actually in a team today for the first time. And let's see what we have. We have a Massachusetts, an Amagi, Navarino for battleships. We have a Neptune, Kitakami, a Tone for cruisers, and Benson, and a Lightning for destroyers. Pretty good game, honestly. This is a really good map, and there's no carrier, so I don't have to worry about air attacks. So that works out in my favor. And the battleships themselves are not ones that I'm too worried about. We have stock Amagis. Massachusetts might be the one that I'm most scared about, honestly. Actually, one of the Amagis might be fully upgraded, considering... Let's see, where's my teammate? Here he is. Nope, he has a stock Amagi too. Alright, so we don't really have to worry about that much. Let's see here. Neptune, Kitakami. Kitakami is going to be a little bit difficult because it has no armor, so every shell you shoot at it just goes right through. But Neptune and Tone are just floating citadels. And then Benson and Lightning, they're not that scary. I guess with a smaller battleship, I didn't actually look at the numbers in regards to this yet, but I would assume you would have better maneuverability considering your small size. However, like I said, I don't know the stats, so I don't know if that's true or not. We will at some point be going over the stats of all ships and then seeing how they compare against each other. Actually, he's over there. Okay, so he looks like he does have a upgraded um, Amagi. Alright, so we have one Amagi over here. Let's send some armor piercing that way. See if we can get some good broadside damage. Three citadels. I would definitely take that. Is there... So no other battleships just yet. I guess we can send another salvo towards this Amagi, though she is angling in. So I don't expect a really good salvo like I just had. But I might be able to get some. Also, remember, this is with accuracy module equipped. Not the crew skill, I don't think, not yet. But even then, I was pretty trash accuracy. Alright. So a Tone. And if she turns towards me, she's going to regret it. Though I do have 16-inch guns. So, ooh, there we go. Neptune. Perfect. Cruiser killer activate. Let's see what we can do. Yep, I'll take that. Also, I didn't mention this earlier. I do have health buffs and speed buffs applied. So this is not the normal ship. Alright, we have another broadside Amagi. So let's see if we can punish them for that decision. Yep, another citadel. Alright, so there's the enemy Navarino. So let's see if we can show what the armor is like. She is at about 12 kilometers. But I mean, that doesn't exactly mean much when you have such fast shells. So that might be a little bit too much lead, but even then, still got 22,000 damage on her. That's not something that she can easily take more than a few times. I'm tempted to finish off this Amagi, but I want to show off the armor a bit more on the Navarino. Alright, so there's another Citadel for 27,000 damage, and she's pretty much already almost sunk. So yeah, this was pretty much a cakewalk, honestly. But yeah, see, this Amagi is taking on this Navarino at closer range, and it's just tearing her absolutely apart. But something larger like a Massachusetts, though she does have a pretty big broadside, would probably fare a little bit better than Navarino, but she still took up quite a bit of damage. It doesn't matter what ship you're in, 16-inch guns are going to hurt. So yeah, she's kind of equal in terms of armament, even maybe slightly better in some cases. But yeah, like I said for the Russian Dreadnought line, your guns are always going to be good. The ship itself is going to be pretty much trash though. And that follows through for the entire line. Alright, so we only have this one Massachusetts left. I think we might be able to get this kill. Let's see. Oh, no, we were just a little bit too late on that one. But that's alright. We had ourselves a really quick game, but we were able to get some pretty good damage numbers, I would assume. Let's take a look. 208,000 damage in less than 5 minutes. One ship sunk, 49 shell hits, 8 citadels for 4,400 base XP. Top team, but I mean, those citadels definitely did help us a lot. Main guns did 208,000 damage, and that's the only damage that we get. High explosive is probably not recommended. Like I said, 16-inch guns are going to hurt whether you're in a battleship or not. So I would recommend just sticking with armor piercing and just punishing broadsides left and right. And then your secondaries, they never once fired. Neither did my AA. I don't think so. Yeah, we didn't get any aircraft. So yeah, those are pretty much ineffective completely. Your secondaries might be a little bit useful on destroyers, but if they're closing to within 5 kilometers, there is something very, very wrong at that point, and you should be at least running away from them, if anything. So with that, I will wrap up today's video. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe for further content. And tomorrow we will be finishing up, or well, not finishing, the second to last um, Soviet dreadnought battleship, which is Rostislav, which is actually really fun. And so is the one after that, the Katarina. At this point, we get into the quadruple 16-inch gun turrets. And you might think that the Russian line was getting bad with Sinop and Navarino, but trust me, it does get better. It gets a lot better. Rostislav and Ekaterina are very fun. So if you can make it through Sinop and Navarino, you will be rewarded. So again, with that, I will wrap up today's video. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for watching and take care.